Welcome back to Normal Baseball. Matt Olson is on pace to hit 60 home runs. Trea Turner might be back, and the wild card races are getting very, very interesting. Welcome back to Normal Baseball. I'm Alex Normal Dog. That's Lewis. And we are back, better than ever, and we have some stuff to talk about. The baseball has been going on. It's been a lot of fun. I can't lie. We get closer and closer to playoffs every single day, and it's been exciting.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely been exciting now that the trade deadline's over, and that was really the last thing in the regular season that I look forward to. I'm ready to see how these playoffs wound up being, what the format will be for the playoffs. You know, what team is going to be playing against what team and what craziness is going to happen, but we have to get through the rest of the regular season first.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. We have to just kind of see what's going on. We still have a long way to the playoffs. I think it's about 7 weeks or so. So that should be fun, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about some individuals. One in particular who is on pace to hit 60 home runs this season now. That man is Matt Olson of the Atlanta Braves. The guy has been on fire recently.
Yeah.
This weekend, I believe he hit a total of 3 home runs against the Mets in 3 games. 3 games. And he's now on pace to hit 60 home runs.
Yeah.
We talked about just Shohei Ohtani in past, of Shohei Ohtani hitting 60 homers and even possibly breaking Judge's record. Well, Matt Olson is right up there with Shohei. And now Matt Olson has more homers than Shohei.
Yep.
So,
not only does Matt Olson lead the league in home runs, he also leads the league in RBIs. 107. Surpassing his total from last year, where he played all 162 games already with, 40 or so more games to go? Crazy. This Braves offense is scary as is, but if Matt Olson is going to be playing and swinging the bat the way that he has been this season, it almost makes them unstoppable.
Yeah, this Braves offense has been amazing. Matt Olson swinging the bat like this, of course, helps, but you can't forget they still have guys like Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna Jr., Austin Riley, who, by the way, those 3, including Matt Olson, so those 4 have played in every single game of the season for the Braves, which is just insane that the Braves have that many guys that can do that, because some teams don't even have one guy that can play every single day. Obviously, injuries count there too. We talked about the Braves being just an incredible powerhouse when it comes to, scoring runs, which they absolutely are. And they lead baseball in terms of team stats. They lead baseball in average with 274 team batting average, home runs with 227, which, by the way, is a record pace. Obviously, Matt Olson is very much so helping that. RBIs, runs, on-base percentage, slugging, OPS. It's insane. Their hitting is some of the best hitting we've ever seen from a team in recent memory. Do you think that they have the NL on lock? Because they definitely have the NL East on lock, but do we think they have the NL on lock? Do we think it's kind of said and done? The Braves are going to make the playoffs. They're going to win the NL and make the World Series.
So there's a part of me that wants to say yes. However, we can only go based off of what we've seen happen before. And it kind of felt that way last year until the Philadelphia Phillies started knocking on the Braves' door and absolutely demolished them in, what was it, a 5-game series, a 4-game series, because the Phillies took care of business. They made it a short series when everyone expected Atlanta to be the ones controlling that series. So as much as I want to say yes, history shows me that I don't know how confident I can be about that. They're a great regular season team, and I want to see them put it together with the amazing contributions that they're getting this season. Will they continue that after game 162? Will we be talking about, Ronald Acuna Jr. deserves the MVP, and look at this postseason to prove why his regular season was not a fluke? Matt Olson hit 60 bombs. Let's see him do it. Let's see him hit more homers in the postseason to prove that it's not just a regular season thing. for the Atlanta Braves.
I don't think Acuna's season is a fluke, no matter what way you look at it.
Well, no,
I don't think
I'm
that's a
talking
fair
about
word to
what
say.
critics would be saying. You know,
I,
fans of opposing fan bases.
I think you could say that about any team. You know, the Dodgers. You know, they're good in the regular. Yeah, but we're here to make predictions. We're not here to say, oh,
then
it could not.
If you want my honest prediction,
do you think that they have the NL on lock?
If you asked me today with a gun to my head, I think I would say yes.
Really? I'm actually saying no.
I just simply think that this team is more powerful than any other team almost in baseball.
I don't think that they have the NL on lock just simply because of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Because the Dodgers have been just as good as them recently. They've won 8 games in a row. Their record is just a little bit worse than them, which, record, who really cares? It's really a matter of how they're playing going into the playoffs. But I think we might see the classic, what we've seen for the last few years of Braves-Dodgers in the NLCS. Obviously, apart from a couple years, but we've seen Braves-Dodgers in the playoffs a lot. And I think we're going to see it again this year, possibly, in the NLCS.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be really exciting because the Dodgers have absolutely ran away with that division. They are 8.5 games up on the Giants. They're going to win their division. The Braves are going to win their division, obviously. So they will be the 1 and 2 seed. So if they both win in the division series, they'll match up in the championship series.
Yeah. I really do want to see. Right now, there are 2 teams that are half a game out in the National League wild card. It's the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds. I want to see one of them make it in over San Francisco. I feel like they're just the more entertaining teams, especially the Cubs as of recently. I mean, Cody Bellinger and Dansby Swanson, along with all the guys that have been there in Chicago, really making a difference and really showing that this team can win ball games, which I want to see them get in. And obviously Cincinnati, America's team, how could you not want them in the postseason? I think that one of those 2 teams should be getting into that wild card spot. It's just a matter of who falls out. Will San Fran take a tumble? Will Miami falter in their defense of being the 3rd place wild card team? There's so many different questions and so much that can only be answered by watching these teams play.
Yeah, and there's a world where both of those teams make the wild card, the Cubs and the Reds, because the Marlins are occupying a spot right now, but the Reds and the Cubs are both half a game out. So it's very possible that the Reds and the Cubs, surpass the Marlins and surpass the Giants, because the Giants are only a game and a half up, and both take wild card spots. Which I think is crazy, because at the beginning of the season, I think we were more like, if we're going to have a division in the NL that 3 teams are going to make the playoffs, it would be the NL East.
Yeah.
Or even the second guess would have been the NL Central. No one would have guessed that the second guess would have been the NL West. I don't think anyone would have guessed that the NL Central would have 3 playoff teams, and right now it looks like that could very well be the case come October, which is crazy to think about.
I want to push all my chips in on the Cubs and the Reds making it into the wild card, simply for the fact of it would be entertaining. It would mean that there would be a lot of chaos going on within the National League in the regular season, and you would be hearing the broadcasters say, "Oh my God, with this win, the Chicago Cubs are now half a game into the wild card. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go celebrate." Just hearing all of that and watching all the commotion go down would be very entertaining. And that's what I want the most out of Major League Baseball, is an entertaining product.
Okay. I do want to just kind of highlight the Cubs, because the Cubs have played very well recently. And I agree. I want chaos. We are people who root for chaos.
Yes.
Day in and day out, because why not? Chaos is awesome.
That's awesome.
The Reds, yes, they've been not great recently, but we've seen the upside of that team and how good they possibly can be. And if they get hot, they will be that chaos. They will be that most exciting team in baseball. I'm excited to see, kind of what happens there. Obviously, guys like Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain, Andrew Abbott, all that. But the Cubs have the veterans. the veterans who want to get it done and know how to get it done, know how to win. Obviously, the two guys leading that team, Dansby Swanson and Cody Bellinger, are both World Series champions. Yeah. So they know what it's like to win. And I think that they are poised to get back to the playoffs. And I kind of would love to see the Cubs in the playoffs. Because when they bought at the deadline, I think we all said, or decided not to sell, rather. They bought a couple pieces. When they decided not to sell, I was kind of like, at that point they were like 4 games out of the wild card, 5 games out. And I was like, I don't know how great of an idea that is. But now it looks like it was a great decision. Their guys are going off, and it's fun to watch. Yeah. That NL wild card is going to be chaos. I feel like we don't talk about the Giants enough either, because the Giants have just kind of like sat in a playoff spot for the last, I don't even know how long. It's been a while since the Giants weren't in that playoff spot.
Yeah, and I think that's just a result of the Giants and Gabe Kapler being the Giants. I feel like time and time again we see them pull off wins, like just run off wins. And sure, they might also lose 2, 3, 4 in a row, but before those little losing streaks, you're talking about a team that went out and won 8 in a row, 6 in a row.
Right. They balance it out.
Yeah, the Giants have found a way to not only win with what they've been given, but to create a successful product on the field when people count them out. Like although all their numbers on paper don't look good, or when their team does not look like a World Series ready team, sometimes they go out and look like the best team to ever be put on a baseball diamond.
Right.
Especially if you go back to 2021 when they won 107 games and beat out the Dodgers, or even now this year where they're keeping up and they are in a playoff spot, and especially when everyone thought that it would be Dodgers-Padres at that 1-2 in the National League West, the Giants found a way to stick their nose in it, not only ruin the fun for fans, because Padres themselves also ruin the fun, but the Giants have found a way to make it really entertaining and really interesting. And that's why a lot of people are buying into the Giants, because they know how to stick around.
Yeah, as of right now, I don't see the Giants sticking around and being like, one of the, like the Phillies were last year. Like, they snuck into the wild card kind of under the radar, and then they just lit on fire. I don't really see that happening with the Giants, so I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily want to see the Giants in the playoffs. I would much rather see the Cubs and the Reds, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And we're still talking about the Cubs and the Reds like they don't have a chance to win their division. They're only 3.5 games out, both of them.
It's true.
The Brewers sit in first place, so that whole NL Central is gonna kind of keep stirring for the rest of the season, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch.
It's gonna be the games to watch. Especially down the stretch.
They are going to be the games to watch.
And let it be known, by the way, the Giants don't have an easy schedule coming up. Their next 4 series are at Tampa. At home against Tampa. Then in Atlanta, in Philly, and then the Atlanta Braves go visit them in San Fran. That's not easy to get through. That's the next 2 weeks of games, essentially.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of happens there.
We're going to have to wait and see, because that's hard. That's hard to get through.
The Rays aren't as much of a challenge as they used to be.
Correct. But
no, I see what you're saying.
2 series against the Braves is not a fun time for anyone.
I want to move back to the Cubs really quick, and just talk about Cody Bellinger really quick, because he has quite obviously been the talk of the town in Chicago. They signed him to this 1-year deal. They give him a chance to prove himself once again after hitting 200 for like the last 2 seasons. In his last 20, first of all, this season he's hitting 328 with a 935 OPS. That's a 147 OPS plus. He's been absolutely insane. But his last 28, like the last month, he's hitting 390 with a 1.057 OPS, which is absolutely insane. And then if you move down to the last 14 days, so last half a month, he's batting 408 with a 1.126 OPS. The guy's been on absolute fire, and he's been one of like the biggest reasons that the Cubs are, in the spot that they are right now. They were on a big winning streak too. They won like 7 or 8 in a row last week. he's a big reason. So I just want to give a shout out to Cody Bellinger because he's going to get his money this offseason.
Oh, yeah, he will. 27, 28-year-old guy.
28.
At the time of free agency, will be 28.
No, he is right now.
He is?
Yes.
Oh, happy birthday, Cody Bellinger. But,
Not even.
A guy of this caliber who we've seen the peak of him, in terms of he won an MVP at 23 years old, way back when with the Dodgers. And then he kind of faltered. He had a lot of injuries that held him back. In 2023, he's looked healthy, getting a batting average all the way up to 328, which is by far the highest of his career so far for a season.
Oh, yeah.
Is amazing. It's spectacular. And I agree with you. He will get paid. Of course, what team is going to give him that Scott Boras contract because he is a Boras client? What team is going to give him that big payday? What team thinks that they can change the course of their next 5 to 10 seasons based on signing Cody Bellinger? We'll just have to wait and see, and it'll be entertaining to see.
It'll be really fun to see.
Or he re-signs with the Cubs and it's all boring.
Yeah, he might re-sign with the Cubs.
He might.
And he seems to be having a great time there.
Yeah.
So,
it depends on what they do. If they let go of Marcus Stroman and don't offer contract extensions to some rookies.
They will, because they have Dansby locked up. Right. So they're going to build teams around Dansby Swanson. They're not going to just, say, oh, we didn't win this year. Well,
tear it down.
We're just going to give up. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Cody Bellinger. I just want to give him a quick shout-out because he's been helping the Cubs do what they do. Another guy who is in one of these wild card teams, the Philadelphia Phillies, who are 3 games up in the wild card, so still not locked into the playoffs, but they have been playing really well recently. Obviously, the Michael Lorenzen no-hitter it came in the midst of a really good stretch for them, so they've been looking good. Is Trea Turner.
Yeah.
Trea Turner has seemingly been back, dare I say. Obviously, we know that Trea Turner hasn't been the Trea Turner that we know and love for this entire season, pretty much. He's been underperforming in the first year of an 11-year contract or 10-year contract with the Phillies.
11,300.
And everyone is kind of overreacting the fact that he's not been, like Superman, which I find disrespectful. But recently he's been absolutely insane. Like, absolutely insane. They gave him a very nice round of applause in, in Philly, because he's struggling, and they knew that, and then they kind of felt bad, and they wanted to show their support, so that's exactly what they did.
All weekend long.
All weekend long, they did that. That was 2 weeks ago. So since they gave him that ovation in Philly, in 10 games since then, he's hit .436 with a 225 WRC plus. Absolutely insane. He's been crushing the baseball. He's been getting on base at an incredible clip. Is he back? And how much will that help the Phillies' playoff push? Because I could already tell you, Trea Turner being Trea Turner is going to help the Phillies a ton.
Trea Turner being Trea Turner changes the trajectory of the Philadelphia Phillies from having to fight in the wild card to, I almost want to guarantee you that they can make an NLCS.
Yeah.
Trea Turner is the heart and soul has been the heart and soul of a lot of offenses from the past 4 years. The Nationals in 2019, the Dodgers in 2021 and 2022. The Phillies need that form of Trea Turner that they got over the last 2 weeks when they supported their $300 million shortstop, as compared to booing him when, he was struggling. Philly fans can be ruthless. I think that we both know that. In any sport whatsoever, Philly fans will come at you. And they'll go at their own players because they're passionate. And I think Trea Turner's understanding that the boos were not directed at him. It was directed at the result of his at-bats. They don't want to see him struggle. They want to see the team win. And part of the team winning is Trea Turner being Trea Turner. And we've gotten that so far. And if he heats up for this playoff push, well, I should say for the wild card round, because no one's going to catch the Braves. If he heats up and we go into that wild card seeing Trea Turner hitting the way that he is, Bryson Stott and Alec Bohm performing the way that they are, maybe Brandon Marsh heating up a little bit. We're talking about a team that has the opportunity to make a very, very deep run.
Yeah, I agree. They showed us last year exactly what they could do, yes. Especially when people underestimate them. The Michael Lorenzen pickup was probably one of the best of the deadline so far.
Yeah.
Which, obviously he's only had 2 starts, but, one of them was a no-hitter, and the other one was 8 innings pitched with no earned runs, which is just absolutely insane. But as far as Trea Turner goes, yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite things to watch. When a guy, struggles for most of the season and then just kind of turns it on.
Yeah.
And obviously, doing that, you need the Phillies fans' support, and that's what they're doing. They're showing him what's the word? What word am I looking? They're showing them their big support. I'm forgetting the word right now that I wanted to use.
Big support word.
But Trea has now boosted his batting average to 252 with a 701 OPS, which still are the worst of his career. But in terms of where he was about a month ago, that is very good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if he continues to do good for the next month and a half of the season or 2 months of the season, he'll be looking really, really good. His stats will be back up to where we wanted them to be, which would be really good for Trea, we would all love that, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it would be hard not to enjoy what Trea Turner can do.
So, yeah, I think he will keep it up. I think by the end of the season we will say, how the hell is Trea Turner batting 280 after that horrible start? How did he put together this really, really good season when he was getting criticized up until literally August about how bad his season has been so far? So I think Trea Turner's going to prove a lot of people wrong in the next few weeks, or at least continue to, rather.
Yeah.
If we want to move on to the American League wildcard race has been pretty interesting as of late, because the Mariners have kind of pushed themselves back into the race out of seemingly nowhere. They won 8 games in a row last week, and now they're only a game and a half out of the wild card, which they very sneakily did that. Like, very sneakily did that.
Yeah, very under the radar.
And I think it's awesome because, obviously we talked about the Mariners all season being this underrated team, and now
underperforming team at times.
Yeah, and now they're just saying, look, we can perform, and now we're in the playoff picture, so now you're going to be forced to recognize us, and we'll see what happens then. Do you think the Mariners will squeak into the playoffs? I have my own opinions, but I want to hear yours first. Do you think the Mariners will make the playoffs this season?
My honest answer is going to be no. Just because I do think the teams ahead of them, Tampa has been faltering, Houston is not the powerhouse that they are, and the Blue Jays have certainly underperformed for what they are. I just don't see a world where any 3 of those teams give up their spot to the Mariners. As much as I want to say the 2022 America's Team Seattle Mariners are going to make it in, I feel like this is the AL playoff picture, and there's really nothing anyone can do to change it. What about you? How do you feel?
I think in terms of the Mariners and just, the entire AL wildcard picture, I think that the Mariners will not make the playoffs. I think that 8-game winning streak, while yes, it was obviously a lot of good games that they put together, I don't think it's actually who they really are, and I think there's a lot of changes that this team needs to make. A couple changes in their lineup, and obviously get some more starting pitching. Keep developing your young guys, your young talent, because this team, obviously, at the beginning of the season, we were saying it should have been better than they have performed so far. But I don't think it's enough to make the playoffs. I honestly think that this is not the playoff picture. Obviously, right now, the wild card teams are Tampa, Houston, and Toronto. I do not think that's what it's going to look like at the end of the season. I think we will see Boston in a wild card spot, and I think we'll see the Mariners continue to stay right around and compete there. I don't think that they'll make it, but I think we will see Boston hit a wild card spot and probably Toronto fall out of the wild card. If I had to guess at what would happen, because I really have started to like the Red Sox lineup more and more recently. Yeah. They're just a really fun team to watch. I've watched it a little bit recently. They're fun to watch, and I think that they definitely could catch on fire soon and sneak their way into the playoffs in a season that everyone predicted them to come in last in the division. So,
especially with although he is an older, more veteran guy, a guy who I want to highlight if we're going to be talking about the Boston Red Sox is Adam Duvall, who I think is, although maybe his number, he's not batting, like 400 and absolutely mashing the hell out of the ball at any given point. He's batting 250, but the thing that I believe is most important in any sport is the knowing of what's going to happen next. And if the Boston Red Sox do sneak into the playoffs, who do they have to lead the way in the playoff picture? A guy who's won a World Series, Adam Duvall. And he did it in very impressive fashion. And I think that while the performance of Adam Duvall is not will not determine the rest of the Red Sox season, Adam Duvall is sort of this guy who's standing at the front of the ship. Explaining to everyone else where they're going, what's going to happen, and how they're going to get it done.
Fair enough.
I feel like Adam Duvall is going to be a solid guy that they have there. And that's only because I don't know if some of their former World Series champions that they have on that team are going to be healthy enough to play come postseason time.
That's fair. I wanted to mention the addition of Trevor Story to that team. Trevor Story just came back last week. He's played 5 games so far. Yeah. Obviously, these numbers are not incredibly, usable because he hasn't really been there. But he is batting .368, so however many hits that is, whatever the math is there.
That's 7 hits.
He's got 7 hits in 20 plate appearances, 19 at-bats, so 4 doubles, by the way. So Trevor Story coming back is going to be really good for this team. He'll obviously so far he's looked to be good and a very good addition, and I think that he'll just help the lineup more and more, and I really do think that the Red Sox probably will sneak into a playoff spot this year.
Hey, feed it to me. Feed me chaos, although I don't believe it's going to change. Feed me the chaos. Let's see all 3 of those teams clear out and 3 new teams going. Let's just oof.
Well, I don't know. So you have Seattle right outside of the wild card race. You have Seattle, Boston, and then the Yankees. And the Yankees are not making the playoffs. Yeah. The Angels, they're not making it's those 5 teams in that race. But what is an even crazier race to me is the weekly ding-dongs, the Homer draft.
Okay. And
we got to get to it because it's been 2 weeks. So we got to get to it. Last time I had Marcus Semien and Cody Bellinger.
Okay.
Since last time we did the Homer draft, Marcus Semien hit 3 home runs and Cody Bellinger hit 3 home runs. Mm-hmm. That brings my total from 29 up to 35. So I'm at 35. What'd you do? Let's get this going quick.
All right, so last time we did this, I had Vladdy Jr., and Ellie De La Cruz. Vlad hit 1, Ellie hit 4. I'm up to 37.
All right, so I gained the point. I gained ground. That's what I like to hear. All right, so it's 37 to 35 right now.
Yep.
All right.
Now, do you want to pick first, or should I pick first?
You can pick first.
All right.
I don't really mind.
There's no one more obvious to ever pick in a Homer draft than the hottest bat in baseball, Matt Olson. I'm going to just take him right there. I will now allow you to pick whoever you'd like.
Okay, well, obviously you pick Matt Olson. I respect that.
He's just too hot of a bat.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to pick someone also on the Braves mostly because they're playing the Yankees this week and they're facing Luis Severino tomorrow, so I think whoever, we'll see some home runs off him. I'm going to go with, I'm between 2 guys. You know how it be. I'm going to go with Austin Riley. I was between Austin Riley and Ozzie Albies, and I wanted to do
pick.
Austin Riley.
Slim,
so
thick Austin Riley. Great pick.
yeah, so I like Austin Riley for this week. And do I get the snake around?
Yes, you do. Go
for the snake around, since I was just talking about him, and he has yet to hit his first homer, I'm going to go with Trevor Story.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because he's been here for 5
that makes
games.
sense. That makes sense. I had to think
So
about that.
I thought I had to, because I was just so hot on how Trevor Story is going to help the Red Sox. So, yeah, Trevor Story.
Okay.
Who do you want?
Okay. For my American lead, I'm going to go with Luis Robert from the Chicago White Sox. I feel like we're going to see a little bit more effort out of him, especially since now we really know what the White Sox themselves are capable of.
Nothing.
Yeah, except for the fact that Luis Robert has been the bright spot on the team. They're also playing in Chicago and then in Colorado.
All right.
So,
I like that.
Pretty good to me.
All right. That should do it, I think.
Perfect.
I mean, I think that's all I got. We will see you guys tomorrow in the next one. Thank you guys for watching, listening, viewing, subscribing, commenting, all that jazz. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Uppies. Matt Olson hitting the bombs.